Now, I am joined by a human rights and sustainability advisor creating climate investment opportunities for leaders and advisors through her company to foster resilience through sustainable solutions. Please join me in welcoming Christine Amour-Levar to the show. Christine, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Dia.
Now, I am very intrigued by your company, Investors for Climate. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Absolutely. So I co-founded it with a partner in New York, and it's to harness capital for climate solutions. We create closed-door networking events in Singapore and New York to bring climate investors together and network around sustainable solutions that they can invest in. We curate interesting speakers around new technologies, upcoming initiatives like blue bonds, for example, or AI to solve climate change, and curate that way an opportunity for them to network and mix and learn about new solutions that they could consider for investments.
Incredible. Yeah. And how has COP28 been in bringing that sort of dialogue that you already have, in Singapore and New York, and bringing it to Dubai? What's that been like for you?
So it's very timely, actually, that I'm here. It's my first COP, and I was invited by Singapore as part of the delegation. This is the second time that Singapore has a pavilion only at COP. And the talk of climate finance is really at front and center of this COP, I feel. So it's very timely that I'm involved in these initiatives, as I mentioned, in New York and Singapore, although we're hoping to scale in 5 other financial centers. And the conversation at COP in the last few days has really been about moving as much capital towards innovative solutions through different initiatives that I've attended over the last few days. So I find it's very opportunistic that I'm here at that moment with very much this company at the heart of what I'm doing.
Oh, amazing. And how has it been your personal experience with kind of the participants right here in Dubai? Are you intrigued, innovated by the different dialogues happening here at COP?
Sure. So there's a lot of things going on, as you know, around COP. Lots of conversations in different pavilions, in the green zone, in the blue zone. The highlight for me was really attending the Business and Philanthropy Climate Forum, which had its inaugural event here at COP, which is really bringing the business groups together for the first time at COP over 2 days discussion. So for me, I learned a lot about the commitment of a lot of corporates to moving more capital and their power and support towards trying to scale solutions in different sectors. So we had talk around the coalition for new food. So there was a commitment of $10 to $20 billion by 2030 to try to revolutionize our food system, which is, I think, very hopeful because it's one of the biggest emitters in our industry around the world. So there's been a lot of other discussions. X-Prize CEO Anusha Ansari committed with X-Prize to other prizes around coral restoration, wildlife conservation, which is kind of new in the conversation. So we're putting a lot more focus on biodiversity, which I find very hopeful because I also have an NGO called Her Planet Earth, focused on helping women gain resiliency for climate change around wildlife conservation, agricultural programs, etc.
What a dialogue to have. And I'm just wondering, what about the role of artificial intelligence and emerging technologies when it comes to climate change? Has there been a lot of dialogue around that?
So that's a very exciting space, and I was privileged to attend a closed-door networking session of just 25 people with Vice President Al Gore, who's been in town for the discussions. And the talk was really around how does AI support the initiatives around climate change. So, it was a very lively discussion in a very small group. We had ministers as well from the UAE present in the room. And I really liked what Vice President Al Gore mentioned, that even though AI can be a huge support in accelerating progress around climate initiatives, we can't depend solely on them and not lose track of what the efforts we need to do in terms of decarbonization and obviously moving away from a lot of the fossil fuel exploitation in different parts of the world.
And what are your key takeaways from this COP28?
So for me, the biggest takeaway is the power of collaboration. I'm an optimist and very hopeful of the outcome of this COP. I think for the very first time, we're moving huge amount of capital. I think the presidency of COP announced yesterday almost $57 billion committed at COP this year, which is unprecedented. So lots of money are moving towards innovative solutions in many sectors, blended finance, protecting biodiversity, regenerating food systems, helping the more vulnerable, looking at emerging markets. So that's really hopeful, and that's going to take more collaboration. So for me, that's the key. As I continue back and I head back to Singapore after COP and continue my work in advocacy and, of course, with Investors for Climate, I realize the role that women can play, especially as well, in bringing those parties together. We are natural custodians of the earth. It is Mother Earth incarnate in us, in all of us. And so I feel that women can play a huge role in bringing the parties together. So governments, NGOs, businesses. We create an atmosphere of collaboration just by being who we are and the way we interact in society very naturally as women. So I believe that women can play a bigger role longer term, and we can continue to collaborate because it's going to take all of us and all of the heart to bring money and collaboration and solutions to the forefront to tackle this climate crisis that we're all facing.
I couldn't agree more. Christine, thank you very much for joining us in the
Thank
studio.
you for having me, Dua. It's a pleasure.
You.